Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the HIVE Thrive Hour. Today we welcome the special guest host, Menno, who's filling in for Buttcoins, and I'm Shadows Bub. Our guest today is James Russell, although you may have actually encountered him more often if you've read the post from Hey Have You Met? Welcome, James.
Thank you. I'm going to put my intro here from Hive as well.
Okay, well, that won't pick up on the recording, but anybody in the channel will be able to get it, which is one of the benefits of attending the show. So, James, how are you
Yeah,
today?
I'm fine. A little nervous, but I'm okay.
That's okay. I haven't bitten anyone yet, and I don't know that you're going to be the first, so you're good. And I've never known Menno to bite anybody. So, James, you've been on how long under the blockchain now? What year did you join? He's looking it up.
2018.
2018. Yeah. Seems to me that we met not long after you joined, too. You joined us in PYPT one evening.
Yes, actually, that's true. I didn't do this intro post until afterwards, but I came on in August, in the end of July in 2018, and I wasn't involved with anything until January when I got in Welcome Wagon.
Yep, that's true. I think actually that's where you connected with the Welcome Wagon was in PYPT. And as I recall, we had a conversation with you in there, and we actually had to kind of convince you that the story you told us was good enough to be published because you didn't think you were ready to put anything out on the blockchain. We thought you had some wonderful stories. If, does that sound about right?
Yes, it does. Actually, you're the one that you're the I had a friend that told me one time after I made the comment that I wasn't much of a writer because I never came from that. I always worked outside with my hands. And she told me that I write better than I thought. Well, I looked up one of my intro posts from this, and Dreamsteam said the same thing. She goes, "You could write. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. You can write."
Yep. I remember that conversation that night because, boy, you were determined you weren't going to be able to do it. And we were equally determined you could. But I'm glad to
You know,
see. Go ahead.
it's really funny because it happened almost the exact same way when I started on Hey Have You Met? When I met Ren when I was in Welcome Wagon,
Mm-hmm.
we went along for a while and she was getting really tired and she had made a couple comments about it and I offered to help her out. So I did that and she goes, well, and I told her, I said, well, I'm having a little bit of a hard time because I can't, I've never done this before and it's scary and I'm a little nervous about it. So she asked me if I wanted some help. She was going to put Wes with me. And I'm like, no, I could do this myself. I want to do it. I want to do it.
You were scared, but not so scared you wanted to accept help. Ha ha. We've never met people like that before. So
Yeah.
you got into Welcome Wagon, and then Welcome Wagon morphed into the terminal, as in you shifted from the Welcome Wagon to the terminal when it opened. What got you into helping out with the Hey Have You Met? Because it was something that was already started, wasn't it?
Because I was pretty good friends with Ren and I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to help out every chance I got. And she was starting to get really, really tired. And I just said, you know what? I'll give you a hand. I'll help you out so that I can give you a break. And she said, okay. So we started out like that at first, but it didn't last long. And she asked me, she goes, I got some stuff I want to do. You want to go ahead and do this? And I just went ahead and did it.
So tell us what Hey Have You Met is.
Okay. So contrary to popular opinion, and I did notice this in the intro that Buttcoin wrote up, is I don't onboard. So the object of Hey, Have You Met is to go through the intros and find those people who have very little rewards, but have a really pretty decent post. Um, and of course, the whole thing is changing now, where they're not all that great, but they used to be. They used to write longer posts and all that. So at this point here, I just decided, okay, so after being with Ren and learning the whole purpose of this, um, that's when I really got involved with it.
And you've been with it steady for the last, well, it pretty well started in 2018, didn't it? Or was it
Yeah.
2019?
Well, Ren and Scott actually started the program. One second.
And we've got a little bit of dead air here as we wait for James to return to the mic.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I wanted to put this here. This is when Scott and Ren had been operating this. They started doing this in October of 2018. I hadn't been active on the chain at that point. I came in July and I didn't do anything until I went in the welcome wagon in January. So Scott and Ren put this intro post out, and as soon as I met her, I started following along. And it was a little bit before I wound up taking over, which was in May.
Okay, and you've been with it ever since.
Yes,
So,
so May
so
of 2019.
yeah, so over 6 years. So we've got the beginnings established, and now I'm going to turn you over to Menno because I'm pretty sure he's got some questions there.
Okay.
Are you ready, bro? I'm gonna grill you, bro.
Oh, okay, but I don't taste very good barbecued.
No, just kidding, just kidding. Thank you, Shadow, for having me. I'm glad to be here. I haven't been on Discord for a little bit. I've been doing other stuff, and maybe we can talk about that some other day. Because today we are here to talk about you, James. But this is pretty much up my alley because for the longest time, I've believed that the true value of this chain, I still do, and it probably will never change, has to do with the people. So anybody who is focused on that is speaking my language. So I love it, and I've known about your project forever because honestly, it's been around forever. You and I haven't spoken per se, but we've interacted before on the chain. I actually not even too long ago you were trying to help out somebody that I onboarded and was flopping miserably. But anyways, so I kind of know about your activities. And if I have one key question to ask you, or like one that would get us started here, has to do with your life philosophy. What is it about this whole thing that you're doing? What is it about this whole thing of helping out the new guy, the one that is confused, that doesn't know how this whole thing works? What is it about that that attracted to you to the project? What is it that you expect to gain? Or what does it do for you, for your soul, for your pocket? What does it do?
Okay, so for my pocket, it doesn't do anything. Um, this is actually on the project I'm on. It's actually a relatively low income because for the 6.5, for almost 7 years that I've been on this, or 6 years, um, I haven't accumulated anywhere near where I've seen a lot of other projects go and a lot of other people. Uh, I'm picking up the people with the lowest rewards on the thing, and 99% of them don't make it big. So the rewards are very small, and it kind of stays that way. Um, it's mainly because I've always been my entire life. I've always been one for the underdog, and brand new people coming on, just like I came on. I didn't do an intro, and um, people that know me know that I'm a little shy at first. When I get in somewhere, Shadows knows, Kitty knows, and I don't say too much in the beginning because I mainly listen. I'm a listener, and I like to listen and I like to laugh. and I'm very mellow, very easygoing. So when I had a chance to come on and help these guys out, I thought, you know what, that's cool because I like the project, and I didn't have anything going. Like I said, I didn't consider myself much of a writer, so I wasn't focusing on my account. So the majority of the work I did was on Hey, Have You Met? And it basically amounted to every single day for the last 6 years, with very few exceptions.
And so you would say that you're doing this out of altruism, like that feeds your soul? Is that where it comes from?
Well, I don't know if I don't know about altruism. I'm not sure what that word means, but it's just basically to help people out on when they first come in. Like I decided right off the bat, it's like, haha, art machine. So, oh, where what was I saying? I forgot.
Well, altruism, just so people that sometimes I choose some weird words, but the definition of altruism is basically when you're doing something without monetary gain, like it's an unselfish concern for the welfare of others, selflessness. I happen to think that that is a desirable trait in all humans, and we should all strive to be more altruistic. But it is also not that common, sadly. So when I meet somebody that in any way, shape, or form leans towards it, I happen to appreciate it very much so.
Yeah. So the altruistic part is probably it's actually true for the most part. But that little bit of rewards that I did get didn't hurt nothing. And I was working with Britt a lot, and Britt was a massive producer. She made posts up to yin yang and made all kinds of coin in her account. And so she kept me going. And there's a lot of times she'd poke me and say, yeah, let's do this, let's do this. And so we would change something and we would just do it that way. And it worked out really well. I was pretty happy with the project, although right now it's just about time for a makeover.
Well, here's another question for you. Do you think the project has been influenced by the price of Hive, or does it really matter? Like, meaning, do you see uh do you when the price of Hive goes up, do you have more work? Do you have less work? Is it less post but better quality? Is like what happens when how is the price of Hive influence what you are doing? Or does it influence at all?
It absolutely does influence it, I believe, because there are times, and I've counted them. There's times when there's 23 introductions in the trending introduce yourself thing. The Whoever started the other community of introduce yourself wasn't following it very well, and so I did get my intros from them, and I rarely ever even look at that site anymore. Everything comes from trending, and because of trending, you could get a general idea of what's going on. And there weren't a lot of people um, making introductions. So at one time I counted 23. There was 23 intros in there, and an average before that was I'd run there'd be 60 or 80, maybe 60 or 80, somewhere around there, quite a few. And right now it's completely changed. It's I have to look through all these really super short posts, and I know why they're doing it, and I'm not going to complain about it. But things are changing around, and I've got to make some adaptations that I'm not used to.
Yeah, you just brought up something that I want to share with you guys because I think it's a good conversation to be having. More so because Shadow uh, is very much on the writing side, long form posts, blogging, and all that stuff. And and I think you're alluding to it right now too, James. We have we've had I don't know if we still do some sort of rule going on Hive of how it is that you're supposed to land on the strip. You know, like you create an account. You obviously put a nice little picture, put a banner, maybe make it look nice, and then you do a introduce yourself post. That should be your first tag, and then you write something about yourself, who you are. You can put pictures of yourself if you want to be anonymous. Of course, you be as anonymous as you want, but more like your philosophy of life, what you expect to learn, if you're a noob, if you're not, if you understand cryptos, if you don't, your interest, maybe some pictures of your dog, I don't know, something like that, right? And then if you do a really good job, then you could get like a really awesome trending post. Some, or you could be lucky enough to get picked up by curation guild, and that's it. There you go to the trending. And we've been doing this for almost, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years, and it's been great. But as you've alluded before, now we are doing what I'm going to call flash onboards, right? And to me, there's a great benefit to doing such a thing, because we are starting to become a little more streamed on, streamlined for onboarding people, and not everybody that joins Hive has to be a blogger. That's like my new thing that I try to remind people. But it also makes it to where some of the efforts that we've have, like the one that you've been uh you know spearheading for so long, it makes it a little more difficult, because now you have these little posts that said introduced to Hive by a coincident, and then I'll have like a picture, and then I'll say I like puppies, and that's it. And then and that's the tag. And so there, I'm sure there's going to be two camps here. One that is going to say, oh, that's detrimental to the chain, we're actually adding some a little bit of garbage to the chain. And there's going to be other people, which I'm on that camp, say, hey, listen, we're trying to be more practical, we're trying to get people on here that use this chain for other stuff, not just blogging. And it could be as simple as just purchasing goods, which is really what that is all about. Hey, come do commerce with Hive. Do you feel, from your perspective, that this change that we seem to be in the middle of is painful, detrimental, good, bad? How do you feel personally? And you can be 100% honest with me, because I know my friend Kasim uh, was a stickler for this, and he actually told me, one of the people that I onboarded like this, he told me, hey, you're breaking the rules. So how do you feel about this whole rule breaking that we're doing now, James?
Okay, so that's another whole issue altogether. You're not breaking any rules. There is no solid rule in a decentralized system that says you can or cannot do this. You could do it. The community might or might not like it, and they'll show up in your downloads and whatnot. But the whole idea is that right now, the principle of what they're doing is good. That they're going to get lots of people in here. Let's hope that, and like Miss Kitty said to me one day, she goes, you know, you think about it, and they might turn around and do a really nice introduction. Well, the only problem is once they use the introduce tag, and this is not a rule. Again, it's a guide, but I don't like to do two intros. It's like people coming back to the chain. They go off for a couple months and they come back. Don't use the uh, uh, introduce yourself tag again. Don't get yourself into introductions because you've already been here and you kind of got a little bit of idea what's going on. This stuff is for brand new people, just like what you guys are doing. You guys go to a like a fair or whatever, and people come up to you and they go, wow, this looks interesting. What is this? And you show them, you explain this, and then have them do a quick post, 14 words, and they get $10, $12, whatever. And that's been kind of an average. So, but they are getting more people on the chain. So from time will tell.
What do you think, Shadow, of this stuff? Do you have an opinion one way or another? Are you indifferent?
Um, I think we've always attracted a certain amount of garbage on the chain. You know, of course, one man's garbage is another man's treasure. So, you know, even that is subjective more than objective. As far as the length of posts go, I'm not really too torqued on it. Never have been particularly torqued on it. I've written long form posts the last couple of years where I've been doing the Daily Echo. Those appear as short form posts, even though there's 2 or 3 hours work that goes into actually creating them. So I would say that I'm not indifferent, but I think I can roll in both directions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can see the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the same page with you there. I for one say, and I don't say this in any way to put down blogging, because I love blogging. I write myself. I write every single day, as you know. But I say, hey, we're not just going to be a blogging platform. We have to be an everything platform, a gaming platform. We have to be a music platform. Maybe there's some projects about doing a radio on top of Hive again. We have to be everything. If we can be everything, then that means that everybody is welcome, right? So I love the idea of not of breaking down the barrier, and then it's like, no, 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 come, you have to write, make sure the spelling is correct, make sure. I do want to say that there's one barrier I never want to take down, which is like, make sure that humans are humans. Let's not become a bot net and everybody's just a bot. Bots have a place, but uh, real content, no AI prompts, making stuff. I think, and that's more like a community consensus. I hope we never stop having those walls. Let's call it community walls. But this one, I'm kind of glad it was starting to the dam is starting to break, because I really believe, and I say this lovingly, I really believe that if we are going to survive Web3, we have to be able to be friendly to everybody. And I know, and James alluded to it too, and James. And so tell me if you disagree with me. I know that most people are not writers, and that's okay. And I want them to come here anyways. So it can't really just be about writing. I think it has to more be about people, And what do they do? I don't know. But there's stuff to do, maybe participate in projects. But, so um James, do you feel that we are shifting maybe towards a more friendlier community? More like, hey, we welcome everybody, even if you're not a writer, just come in and, I don't know, share pictures, on like to, or maybe make little TikTok length videos of you skating. Do you feel that shift, or am I alone on this one?
I'm not really feeling that shift. You guys go into YouTube. I know that there's some really super reliable Hivians that are on Twitter. I think I follow a couple of them, and I don't see that much of the stuff outside of what I do because I'm more focused on what I'm doing, and I got other studying going on and all kinds of weird stuff. But um, I lost my thought again.
Oh, good. Oh, good. What I'm saying, James, is like, well, you kind of answered it there. That you feel like you're very entrenched, I guess, with your current project, and that's good. I think that's very valid, because obviously you are very passionate about what you're doing, and I respect that, and I admire it too. I admire the consistency. Somebody who's had a project for this long and keeps at it, to me, deserves admiration. Another reason why I think Shadow's awesome, because how long have you been doing what you do, Shadow? 8 years now.
PYPT is coming up on its 8th anniversary in October.
That's insanity, but in the best way possible. I say that with love.
I'll admit to being insane. It's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what we might want to cover, Kitty Girls just brought up there. We maybe should let James talk about it. Is the process he goes through in order to actually do a hey, have you met? Because he doesn't just look at a post and go, yeah, this looks interesting. What else do you do with it, James?
I do. I try to check them as best I can without doing too much digging. Um, when I first started this out, I was doing all kinds of things. I'd go back and I'd research everything, this, that, and everything. Right now, it's that I look at the post first of all, and first off, the very first criteria is it long enough to give somebody so they got a little bit of read and get their money's worth on it. And if just like these new posts are too short, so I pulled one up and I thought, so this wouldn't look very good on it. I mean, I could post it, but their entire thing would be on my post. They wouldn't have anything left. Um, and I want the readers to go to those people and upvote their posts and support them. So that's the whole idea of this project. And also, I did want to mention one other thing real quick. I found this morning when I looked through the posts that I was searching for, I'm a white hat. What's a white hat?
They're jerking your
uh,
chain, James. Stay focused.
where was I? No. uh, so the research that I do on a post, the first thing I do is I look at the post, and then I look at the date that they came on. That's important too. And then I look at, okay, so we're going to see who supports this person. So on their post, I'll hit the likes, the the hearts, whatever it is. I'm losing my train of thought. The
Upvotes.
And I have this
Upvotes.
problem because of a medication I'm on.
That's
So
okay. Upvotes.
I'm sorry to be a bummer interview.
Carry on.
So the upvote, yeah, the upvotes. Okay, there we go. Thank you. So yeah, exactly. Who delegates to them? Who supports them? I'm going to look at who they follow and who follows them. And if I suspect, I also look down in their history of their finance because in the wallet, because there's times when people will come back with an exchange, and I found out that they'll deposit some money in the account, and I'll find, yeah, exactly, wallet transactions could tell a big story because that tells me when they're doing that and they know what they're doing, they have an account somewhere else. They either have an account on Hive or they came from Steam, one or the other. So that's part of my process that I automatically do every day. So I look at those, I look at their followers, I look at their comments to see what kind of comments they make. I look on the post when I go to choose a post. I got two posts. I got one that's, let's say they're both 700 words. So I got two of them that are identical. So one has, in the comment section, the author has made comments back, and they're decent comments back to the people that comment on their post. So the other one doesn't have any. That will be a criteria. If the quality is basically the same, that will be a criteria that I will go by, and I will pick my posts by these people respond to people. That shows me they have an interest in it. So that's another little thing. I'm trying to think of what else I do. It's basically if I also have, I should say this. I also have a couple other people. Palomap is one of them. Paloma. She will tell me if they're using AI. She will tell me if, oh, that's the other thing is the AI. Yeah, and who created the account. But I don't go into uh, the blockchain. What's the name of that? Hive blocks. Okay, if unless I have a reason to go in there, I won't check on Hive blocks to see um, who created the account, unless I suspect something goofy. I AI to cook my meals. Okay, so yeah, I stuck my phone in there, and now I don't have any phone problems. So that's basically the elimination progress that process that I use to kind of sort out who I want to post and who I don't. They have to have enough words. The story has to make sense. It can't be AI. And there are certain things that I can look at and say, this person is from Pakistan. This person is from Nigeria. This person is from Venezuela. This person's from the Maldives. Okay, but when you start using terminology that even I question, that is fancy terminology, there's some AI going on there. And I look to see how much AI is on the post. I'll, if they use it as a correction, I don't have an issue with them using AI. That's, and I did notice at one point that Peak D even put it on the post that you could use images created by AI that they have right on the front end. I'm
Actually, Peak D is also set up that if you wanted to write your post with AI, you can do that as well. So it's going to get harder and harder to be able to tell the difference.
well, I because I kind of had a discussion with Hive Watcher about this because of the fact that Um, they just absolutely forbid AI, and um, it's like, you know, I think it's okay if you use it correctly. If you use it just like Grammarly, don't tell me that the people that are native Venezuelans that don't speak English can't use the AI to translate, because that's how they get an English edition onto the post and reach more people.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just a process. And these guys are not going to be able to get it. They're not going to be able to eliminate AI. It's here. And it's looking to me like it's there and it's going to be there. Now it's a matter of control. If you start using AI to make your post, you're lazy, you don't want to write a post, you're going to get downvoted to hell and back. And they have to deal with that. You have to deal with the community. There's no firm rule. Nobody. I don't care who they are, even hive watchers. You are not the police. You keep an eye on things, which is good, and you can make suggestions all over the place. But people will have to answer to the community. It's just like real life. You got to answer to your friends and your other people.
Yeah, part of the problem with trying to decipher what is AI and what isn't is, you know, it's getting more and more like human writing, and sometimes people just write in a formal manner, and they're getting nailed for, oh, that's AI. Well, no, it isn't. That's how they write. It's just the way it is. So you mentioned earlier about the possibility of a revamp on Hey Have You Met, and I also heard you mention that some of those short posts could be kind of interesting, but they don't fit your format, which is reasonable. The whole post would end up in there. What if you ended up adding a little section that's here's some interesting shorts from new people, and just put the title in the link?
That's actually a really, really good idea. I could possibly do that. I'll have to give it some thought to how that would be how I would implement that. But that's actually a really good idea and would cover a lot more posts.
Well, it'd be a way of adapting, and it wouldn't leave out the people that are capable of doing quality short posts.
Yeah, I always kind of, I looked at my intro and I put my intro in here. I just put it up above when you first started. And I look at my intro and I go, I wouldn't have run that. And even though I feel it's extremely interesting, I wouldn't run it. It's too short because the whole section would be on my post,
Mm-hmm.
and they wouldn't go to your post. They'd just read it right off of mine, and they'd glance at theirs and they go, screw it, I already read it. And then boom, you don't get any support because people be lazy. That's history. I mean, that's the way people are.
Well, people's attention spans on the whole tend to be fairly short, so thus the short writing. But it takes a certain amount of skill to write short quality posts. So why leave them out because, oh, they're not long enough? This catches both sides of the balance.
Right. I had a post about I think it was within the last week. It was a few days ago, but it was within the last week. I looked at this post and I go, I want to run this post. There's not very many words on it. It's like 230 words or 200 words or something like that. And I haven't, I try to get I try to get a post that will fill it up and provide um, stuff for the readers, for the people that do all the support. And this post was like, I was blown away by this post. I thought, wow, that's really good.
So there you
And
go.
I had one other thing to say. A minute ago, a couple minutes ago, you said something about people that write uh, like an AI, and people are getting nailed on using AI, but they're not. I had that exact same thing come up about a week and a half ago. Um, that he got that name because my wife did mochas at the time, and he was the same color as our mochas.
Oh, you're
My wife
referring
named,
to the name of your dog is Coffee. People
yeah,
on the
coffee.
recording will not quite know where that sidetrack went.
Right. That's coffee. And the story how I got him was unreal. You have to read it. Um, he came to me with that name. He was a stray in Washington State, and the owner, his previous owner, was very extremely abusive and had dislocated his lower jaw. So that's why he had a like a 3/4 inch underbite on his lower jaw. Okay. Anyway, back to the project. So um, that I'm okay. So I lost track of everything except for
You were talking about how people get nailed with AI.
yeah. So I had that exact same situation, and I asked this young lady, and she was new, and that was the other thing was Hive watchers and the people that the bots that he uses, the accounts that he uses to nullify votes. I think that was dead wrong because, and I've even seen steam cleaners downvote in Hive, and
Hmm.
that's not right. So I kind of I kind of got irritated and I told him I said, you know, these people are brand new. They come on chain. They don't know any quote unquote rules or guidelines or any of this kind of stuff and they make an introduction post and let's say they use AI because this exact same situation happened 2 weeks ago. She used AI, and I ran the post anyway. And I had one of my Palamap had told me she used AI on this, and I go, yeah, I know, but it was I ran out of intros, and this was my third intro, and I was going to run it no matter what. She's brand new. She's that it came out okay, but the thing is like, hi Snook. The thing is like people there are. She told me this. She goes, I asked her on the post. I said, did you use AI on this thing? And she said, yeah, I used it. Why? Can I do that? And I explained it to her. Oh, no, I take that back. She said, no, she was already a writer and it showed in the post. She explained it. She was already a writer. And when I read the post through, I thought, this looks like it's got some AI wording in it. It's really well worded. And she explained that she was a writer and that she talked like that. She actually writes like that as a professional writer or
Hmm.
semi-professional writer.
I've seen that before, where a person comes across as using AI, but they're not. That's their style of writing.
Exactly. I think Gridden was another one of those that is an excellent writer, and they were questioning her one time on if she was using AI or using something. I don't remember what he was accusing her of, but she's actually writes like that. She's
Yep.
like that's normal for her.
I think we could probably do a whole show talking about the debate between AI written and human written. Menno, what else have you got on your list there?
Well, I had another idea, but you guys went here, so now I have to bring this up because I've also had my say my complaints with how harsh we can be on the newbies.
Yeah.
Um, it's one of those things to where I haven't done it as much as James, honestly, because it's one of those jobs that you don't get. It's a thankless job when you go defend the newbies, but it is frustrating. It's almost like, of course, I am not gonna sit here and say that we don't need some sort of spam control, garbage control, because we can see other platforms like Blurt or even Steam for that matter. Um, and what happens when there's no downvotes? So I get it, but I do believe that we have a very hyperactive immune system, and very much so like it happens when people have allergic reactions to a sting, and then they end up having to go be hospitalized because of the immune system overacts. I think we have a tendency to do the same. So now that said, I realize that the people from Hive Watchers get a lot of flag and I mean a lot of flack, and they get a lot of hate, and you have to become, in order to survive such a situation, you have to become a little detached. So they end up how would I call it? They end up alienating themselves enough to where even if you were to say, "Hey guys, this is not right," blah blah blah, and you're trying to appeal from from empathy, they go, "Ah, no, it doesn't matter," because they've heard it all. They've heard all the excuses. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. So it's almost like now they got calluses on their heart a little bit. Um, and I have to ask if James has ever thought of this in a way that you go like, okay, how do or better yet, how do we fix that? How can we stop being this community that tends to overreact and doesn't give second chances? Because I've seen people make one mistake and get flagged to death, and then that's it, and then we lose a potential Hivian. We also get bad rep because when people have bad experiences, they go tell everybody. When they have good experiences, sometimes they don't talk. But when something bad happens, you bet your butt they're gonna go all over the place and talk crap. So James, I'm sure you have more than me. Have you given it thought? How can we fix this? Is there a way to fix it, or we just have to change how we how we do this? How we let's call it police our chain.
Okay, so you just hit the nail right on the head. So I was just thinking while you were talking, and before I forgot it, I had a lady a long time ago. She had written a beautiful post, gone, I mean, a massive post, and they downvoted the hell out of her. And they thought it was AI, and she never came back. She made the one point, and I made a point of going by to check her post. Now I've forgotten her name, but the whole thing is here's what I believe. You want my personal belief? Here's my belief. I believe that I Snook just said it. Peeps make mistakes and be given 40 chances. That is true because steep Hive has a steep learning curve, and so they're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna make a lot of mistakes. They will eventually learn, hopefully, and then they won't abuse the system. The ones that really irritate me are the ones that come in and they know not to do something, like they came from Steam or whatever. I just had a guy do that. In fact, there's some intros on there in there trending right now that are written out to Steam it. And it's like, no, dude, this is Hive. This is not Steam. But it takes patience. I've I've had this in the server. You got somebody there, he doesn't know what he's doing, or he's just abusive to a lot of people. Pick that up. He's abusive. No, this young man is smart. He's a smart kid. You just have to learn. You got to have a lot of patience with him, and you just have to work with him. And this is the way I feel about the high blockchain. People make mistakes. It's okay to use AI if you're doing it for correction and um, like you're not doing your main writing with it. All you're doing is smoothing out what you've written, and that's okay. But don't post what AI posts because that's not right. Then it's not coming from you. Here's the thing: write from the heart. That's the whole point. It's all about the community and right from the heart. And you will pick up people left and right that they really want that kind of a system going.
What say you, Shadow? What say you? Can we fix this? Are we on our way to fixing it, or are we in the same exact same spot we were 8 years ago?
I think it's in some ways we're in a more difficult spot because um, we haven't set up a mindset in regards to dealing with the fact that AI is not going anywhere and we've got to learn to live with it. There's a difference between somebody who uses AI to write a post, put it up, and expect to get rewards, and somebody who maybe will put part of their post into, or even all the post, into AI and say, "Fix my grammar for me" or something like that. So we have to kind of learn that you know we need to give people the benefit of the doubt until we see that maybe that's exactly what they're doing. Is they're just using AI to write it up for them and then off they go. But that's going to take some time, and we've got to be willing to be patient with it. We'll learn over time because if the person has used AI to write that post unless they're damn good at writing prompts, that writing is going to be fairly boring, too wordy, and difficult to get through. So you'll just not be interested in reading their material. That's just the way it's going to be.
That's the thing about writing from the heart. When you write from the heart, people pick that up. There's a lot of people that pick that up, and they're like, "Wow, this person is telling it like it is. You know, this is what they really think. This is what they feel. It's not coming from a machine.
Yep.
That's what you ultimately want."
Yeah, of course, I agree. But oh, you're bringing up something very important, Shadow, and I like to use this analogy because there's people out there, not calling names, not saying names, but there's people out there that are way too purists about the whole thing.
Yep.
No, AI, nothing. You can't use anything. And this reminds me a little bit of what I do. I don't. I Some of you guys know. Some. I assume most of you don't. But I'm a luthier. Like I'm a guitar maker, right? And in the world of guitar makers, there are people that are very much traditionalists, which is they used hand planes and chisels, and those hand drills, and so making a guitar takes them 4 or 5 months because they do it the way that the forefathers of the lutes were doing it 600 years ago. And they find a lot of value and meaning in doing it that way. And they see a guy like me that grabs a power grinder that you use to remove the paint off a car to shape the body of a guitar. And they almost have a aneurysm. It's like, what the hell is this guy doing? But in my position is like, hey, listen, I'm trying to make a guitar in a month, not 6 months. And this tool is available to me. Yeah, of course, it's not as romantic as grabbing a hamper and going, but it's a tool, and I'm still making art with it. So, which is to say, I guess to say, it's like the tool itself is not a bad thing. It's not like because you're using a tool, it makes automatically the guitar you're making garbage. It's a tool. It depends how you use it. Now, I could grab a grinder and make a horrible thing that doesn't have any expression, doesn't have artistic value, looks like crap. So I think it's the same thing. I think we're going to shift eventually to understand what AI is and what it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just like a tool, like you said, hey, here are little chat GPTs. I have can you help me with my grammar? I really suck. And it goes like, hey, you made a mistake here, blah blah blah, correct the grammar. That's great. I think you're using the tool correctly. Now, but if you're saying, hey, ChatGPT, write me a story about a boy losing his dog and being sad but loving his dog, and then that's it, and then you get this generic, no salt, no pepper, bland thing, uh, more than people picking up on it, which is obviously I think most of us would be able to because when you spend enough time reading things, you do. More than that, it also doesn't add value to anybody because it doesn't create connections with other people. It doesn't make all of a sudden the blockchain more valuable because hey, there's a story about this kid who lost a dog. Because there's nothing there. There's not a real story. It doesn't edify anybody. So but it comes also with a cultural shift. I think we're still very early in the game. People don't realize what AI is and what it isn't. And to those who are thinking, "Oh, I can make money really fast, really quickly with just AI, make write everything for me," they will eventually hit the wall.
Sure they will.
That said, yeah, all that said, look, I went really, it was like a big loop. All that said, we're still so early, and we have to be patient as a community. We have to assume innocence before flagging people to negative reputations and saying, "Hey, listen, like, don't do this." Some people will get it, some won't, but I'm willing to bet that most people will get it because at the end of the day, most people, unless you're a sociopath, value community. So if they realize, like, hey, you know what, the real value here comes from being part of community uh, then let me follow the Chiefs. Let me see how is it that they are able to have all the support. Oh, okay, and there will be those who get it. But if we are just right away, hey, you messed up. That's it. You're out. Strike one. You're out. Screw you. No, just power down and leave. Power down because I've seen that. I've literally seen people tell people power down and leave. We're also hurting ourselves because at the end of the day, and of course this is not just about money, but it is about money too. um the chain is only valuable because there are people here, and so if we are running off people, we are hurting ourselves. Does that make sense, or am I talking crazy?
No, it makes total sense. We haven't learned in 9 years to just let people shoot themselves in the foot and not be passing judgment on them. If they're not a good writer, or even if they're trying to use AI to write for them, it's going to show up. And people just won't bother with them. They won't bother responding to much of them, and they'll get bored and wander off. That's a whole lot better than running somebody off the chain.
I agree with that.
I there's a of course you guys know Acidio. Let me see what you think about this, James. Acid and I were talking about this idea of in the future. Don't know when. Don't know of a real developer, not myself, will ever take on this task. Somebody develops a front end to Hive that does not show downvotes, but it does. The downvotes do work, which is to say, uh, people that have a lot of stake can go in there and kind of correct behaviors. But in the front end, the people, the new person showed up, just sees like, hey, yeah, these posts are not making any money. That's all they're seeing. Or they see, I had $1 here, and now I have 20 cents. They don't know why. They just see that. Do you find that to be maybe a better way to do it? Because there's a psychological cost to getting downvoted. Like especially when you're brand new. You all of a sudden see those broken hearts, and you're like, oh my God, what did I do?
They tried that with Blurt. They don't. Nobody gets downvoted there. At one point, I was not only working on Hive, I was also working on Steam. Um, right afterwards, introducing people, and now I look at it and I thought, no, that was stupid because Steam was going nowhere, especially the way it started in 2020 at the ending. And how they were picking it up by that other clown that abused things. So your theory your theory is your theories, both of you, your theories are extremely. I'm taking all this in, and I'm going to try to remember all of this stuff and put it all together into something comprehensible. I won't promise a post because I the last time I made a post was January 2024. Oh, and that was the other thing. I'm doing this Hey Have You Met project by myself. I haven't had any help from Britt since April of last year. She's been off for a year and 15 months. She's been off doing life, and she's powered everything down. Part of it had to do with the downvotes that she got and the blacklist. And I told Hive Watcher one day, I said, you know what? She didn't come to you and get down on her knees and say blah blah blah. So you blacklisted her. Why don't you let her go? Why don't you just remove the blacklist and leave her alone? She has gone over 2 years and not plagiarized, not done anything wrong. She's made excellent posts, and he wouldn't do it. He goes, nope. She not. She made her own bed. She's going to lie in it. That's part of the reason why she just got depressed with it and just said, I don't know, maybe it's time to make a change. And then I haven't had any help since like I said, April of last year.
Yeah, there's quite a few cases like that, sadly. And I don't know what the solution is. I'm still searching for it. I'm Snook said something in the chat that I want to bring up. Because I think most people ask themselves that question: why do you have to downvote when somebody makes a mistake? Why not leave a comment and ask them to fix a post? Well, this has to be dealt, in my opinion, as mature people, as mature adults. I don't think there's any children here. It has to be dealt accordingly because there are situations and there are situations, very much like it is in real life. Somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I think you're dumb." That does not. Oh, the person just called me dumb. My reaction should not be, let me go get my shotgun and take this guy out. So reactions should be measured according to the action. So if somebody does, I don't know, shares something extremely offensive, which has happened before, threatens to hurt somebody, which has happened before, uh, then I'm not even going to bother, asking them, hey, why don't you not stop threatening somebody with a physical action. I'm not even gonna say because then if Snook uploads this happened on the blockchain, by the way. She uploads it to YouTube, she might get flagged. But the word starts with R. somebody was doing that. If somebody does that, I'm not gonna be, hey, could you do you mind maybe not threatening somebody with that? Of course not. I'm just gonna go ahead and downvote. But if it is like something plagiarized or maybe AI posts and all that, I think it makes more sense to start there. Hey, the community does not blah blah blah, and maybe there should be some sort of diplomatic um department to Hive. Maybe it's something that even I'm sure that it's not that James wants more jobs, but maybe James is the right person to do it, to be able to massage those situations before Hive Watchers says, hey, you're going in my blacklist, because we can't really just be populating those blacklists forever and not giving people the chance to redeem themselves. I don't. There's no value in that. There is no value in that. There are some people out there, James. I'll share something else with you, so you give me your opinion. Who are saying, "Hey, a lot of these things will be fixed in layer two." And let me explain what that is for everybody, so you kind of catch my drift, and maybe Shadow, you tell me what you think too. They say, "Hey, listen, at some point in time, there can be so many people on here that will be basically siloed into very specific niches." So for example, let's say Shadow, because Shadow is very much into blogging and philosophy is really what Shadow writes about. I don't know if she calls herself a philosopher, but what I read, what she writes, it's really about. So then all of a sudden, there's a Philocoin going on, and the Philocoin and the members of the Philocoin have their own front end, and it's a layer two, maybe built on VSC. And Philocoin is they doesn't, I mean, on layer one on Hive, things could be happening. There could be downvotes, there could be flags, there could be all sorts of stuff, mean comments. But on the front end for Philocoin, none of that is visible, because even though it is on the blockchain, none of it is visible. All the Hive Watchers of the world, the bad whales, also whatever, it doesn't. They're not there. All the bad actors, they're not there. They're muted. Nobody sees them. They do not affect Philocoin at all whatsoever, and everybody's just happy because you basically are protected from they call it the psychological attack of. Now somebody might say, yeah, but what's going to make Philocoin be valuable? And it's like, I don't have an answer to that question. But I do find the idea of having a layer two where you can basically select your members a little better. I do find that to be a possible solution. So, James, what do you think about that? Is that a good idea, a bad idea? Do you find it like, oh, maybe that is the answer, or are we, how do they call it, grasping at straws here?
I'm not sure. There's some of what you said that I missed. I had something come up real quick here that I had to deal with. So I'm not sure everything what all of what you said. Most of your ideas are coming up that you're coming up with are some pretty decent ideas to give thought to. So maybe at some point you and I could talk and you can relay some of that stuff to me. Uh, and then I got an idea of where you're coming from on that.
Fair enough, fair enough. I know I speak too fast and too crazy sometimes, but Shadow, did you catch my craziness?
I did. I've heard this before about the layer two. I think layer two has a role to play, but I don't think it has a role to play with newbies, and it's the newbies that often get driven away because of they get pounced on. Because I think you know having seen a good number of newbies coming into the chain and that initial period of them struggling just to understand what to do, the idea of newbies coming on and be able to find and use layer two is not really believable for me. Once they've been on here for a while, they find layer two and maybe find some benefits in it. That I could see. I agree, Kitty Girl. There are people here have been here for 5 years, and if you said layer two, they'd go, "What?"
That's fair. That's fair. Now that said, it's possible. It is possible. I know this sounds far fetched, and most people here might even think I am drinking some funny juice right now. But it is possible that a layer two effort might overtake Hive, not in value, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously you can't say the bricks. Uh, if the building, the building that you're making is super valuable, and because of this one office, then oh no, but just that office, the rest of the building, of course, everything goes up in value because it's part of the environment. But what I'm saying, it could be that a layer two effort becomes so popular that people that participate in layer two don't even know there's a layer one.
Well, that's
I
possible.
know that sounds crazy,
If they're
but that is
onboarded
possible.
directly to that layer 2 project, they won't know the difference. But if they're onboarded
Correct.
directly onto the Hive as it exists now, and you started to say layer 2, it would just become more of that initial confusion.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'll give you an example of one that I see almost there, almost there. Travel feed. Are you guys familiar with travel feed?
Mm-hmm.
Travel feed are they're traveling blogs. They have their own website. They have their own tokens too, their own front end. And if you look at it, you might not know they're also built on Hive. You would have no clue. You could make an account right on their website. Your account could be connected to Hive or not, which is even more interesting to me. And a lot of these projects don't even require a login with keys. You can log in with your Google account. So like now I see, obviously we're not there yet. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys, oh, we're there. No, but I see the beginning of the decoupling, let's say, from layer one happening, where a layer two token, layer two project could be completely uh, alive, floating well with a great community, and not even know that there's a Hive watcher flagging them every time something gets posted because they don't get those tokens. They don't care about those tokens. It's interesting to think about,
Yep, it
but
is.
but it's possible.
And we're coming down to the end of the hour. Have we got anything else we wanted to wrap up with, James?
Um, I,
Well,
I I would like to say one word, and that's that. I'd like to see a lot more people supporting, a lot more Javians supporting these new people rather than staying away. We had one guy in the beginning that stayed with us quite a while, and that was Marky Mark. And they then all of a sudden they were started that downvote war, and he bailed from, hey, have you met? And ever since then, the rewards we have no basically very little support. So it just got kind of depressing. In fact, that's one thing I'm having a hard time with now is the lack of support that we get. There's a lot of people that this is a good thing that you guys are doing right now because it gets this project exposure and gets the newbies out there, and that's what they need to do is be introduced to the Hivian community.
I agree. Menno, any final
well,
words?
for me, I'm gonna say, James. I mean, I'm grateful today. I'm grateful I got invited. Hopefully, I didn't talk too much. I tend to do that. Uh, and hopefully,
You did
we'll see
not.
more of you, James.
You did not. You did not. And I like the sound of your voice.
Thank you, brother. I like yours as well. I'm gonna try to help you out, James. Myself, I'm gonna start following that account. I haven't been doing it, and I'll start curating too to help you out because I think what you're doing is extremely valuable. I am not a whale. I'm just a little dolphin, but every upvote counts.
They do.
Yes.
The community
Yeah.
can
Same
carry
here.
a lot that whales can't. It really when they get together.
That is true. Do you know what showed me that to be a fact? Uh, Proposals, because I always thought, oh no, if proposals will only pass when block trades gets involved, community has nothing to do with it, and I've been proven wrong quite a few times.
Yep. Yeah,
Hmm.
when the community gets its mind kind of working together and rolling in the same direction, it can do a lot. The trick is to get it rolling in the same direction.
That is the trick.
Yeah. So
That
so
is the trick.
basically, in a nutshell, when we get the support, when there's people on the blockchain that give these new people uh, the support that they deserve and they need. And I'm not talking about the abusers and spammers and all that garbage. And I'm not talking about bots because I have a thing about bots because I look at one post and there's nothing but bots down the page. And there's maybe one or two people that interact. And I'm going and I'm just thinking, you know what? That sucks. There's no contact. There's no people coming in and helping these people out. There's the interest just isn't there. I don't know.
Well, small community too in relation to the rest of the web and even the blockchain. So we've got some growing all around to do. James, it's been great talking to you. I hope we didn't scare you too much.
No, I lost my train of thought a couple of times, but I have issues with that now and then. And I am a little bit nervous about this. So, because like I said, uh, when I was teasing in the beginning that, oh, I've never done this kind of thing before, but it's true. And I was nervous. And there's a couple of parts where Mino was trying to explain something that he perceives, and I was having a hard time keeping up with it, even though I'm listening. I'm actively listening.
Yeah, that
But
happens.
yeah. So, and the same thing for you. I'll be sitting here and I'm listening to you, and getting you're getting this the way that you feel about this, and my mind is just kind of like my attention span's kind of like a little kid.
I think we all have times like that, but it's been great chatting with you. And Menno, thank you for covering for Buttcoins today. I think we've managed to keep the show going in the right direction. Any final words?
No, for me, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And if my memory serves me correctly, because I'm not getting any younger than the rest of us, um, McFarhat is expected to do a round two. In that he didn't join us last week like he was supposed to, and hopefully he's going to make it up by arriving next week. So come and join us next week, and thank you for joining us this week. And the recording is